How y'all doing? Welcome to Old Dog Woodshop. Today what we're going to partake in building is a table that sits in between two Adirondack chairs out in your backyard. I'm going to be building this table out of pressure treated wood, mainly using leftover pieces that I had from building the Adirondack chair. The table itself is going to be about a 20-inch square table, about 22 inches high approximate, just to sit in there where you can set your cold drinks on and lay your book when you're out there napping in the sun. With that said, we'll go ahead and we'll get started on this project. With the process that it takes to cut, sand, and round over all the pieces, I went ahead off camera and built all the pieces necessary to make this project. And what we'll do is we'll cover the pieces that we're going to need. What you're going to need basically is four legs. Of course, you can't have a table that ain't got no legs on it. These are basically a 2x4 ripped in half. You got 1 3/4 wide by 1.5 inch thick. You need four of those. Then you need a tabletop frame. Your frame I made out of 1x4, which is basically 3/4 by 3.5. You're going to need two pieces that are 20 inches long, and you'll need two pieces that are 18.5 inches long. These will mount inside the 20 inch. Also, I have four 3/4 inch square pieces that will go inside the frame to set your tabletop down onto. What I have here is 12 1.5 by 3/4 inch by 18.5 inch long pieces that comprise your tabletop. Now that I've already got all these cut, sanded, rounded over, we can go ahead and get ready to start the assembly process. First part of this process, what I want to do is I'll grab two of my legs and I'll have the 1 3/4 up. Basically, that's going to be the outside board, 18.5 inch board of your tabletop. Okay, you get one of the 18.5 inch long boards. You're going to lay it on, make it flush with each side of the leg. I'm going to do that on this side and do the same thing on this side. Y'all will hear vehicles going by. I'm right next to the road, and I got my door open because it's hotter than fire out there right now. Well, not near as hot as it was the other day, but it's pretty warm. And what you need to do is make sure that it's flush on both sides, because this is where your 20-inch piece is going to lay up to make the other sides of your table. You'll do that on both sides. When you get it lined up, you'll want to ensure that this board overhangs the end of your legs 3/4 inch. So your tabletop boards can sit down inside your frame. You'll take it, just go ahead and slide it up. You can use one of your tabletop boards, slide it up, make it flush, and that'll give you your gap that you need to maintain to get your tabletop to sit inside your board. Once you get that done, make sure that your edges are still straight, flush against your leg, and what you'll do is you'll countersink and screw two 1 5/8 inch screws is what I'm using. You'll drill some holes in here, countersink, because it's right close to the end of the board. You need to make sure if you don't drill holes, starting holes and countersink, it's a good possibility it'll split your board up. Do that, add two 1 5/8 screws on each end, and we'll screw them into place. Y'all having two of these drills, you can get them in a set of two. Having two of them is handy as a pocket on the shirt, I'm telling you. That way you ain't got to continuously swap out bits. One thing you need to make sure before we get too carried away is that our board is still back far enough for your top to fit in. We'll go ahead and do these last two screws. Once we get that done, we got to do it to one more side, and I'll go ahead and take care of that, and I'll get back to you here in a few minutes. All right, the next step of the process, we've already got the legs mounted to our 18.5-inch sides, is we'll go ahead and we'll attach the two 20-inch sides to the end. What I did is I took a piece of the tabletop, laid it on the table, so that way it makes it stand up straight and not tendency to lean over. So you'll line these up. At this point, you can use a clamp if you want to. I like to use clamps because it gives me a little bit more stability. Keeps me from knocking things over. Now that one 18-inch ain't going to work. We'll go ahead and grab us a couple of clamps. We'll put some clamps on it. Same process on this that we did on the other one. We want to drill two pilot holes in each side and attach the side by using two screws. Clamps makes it a little bit harder, but it'll help you keep everything lined up to start. Now you can do this two locations here, and what I intend to do is I'll put the screws right into the side of the leg part, and what I'll do after that is probably place a couple of staples in the edges. It's really not necessary, but you can if you want to. So let's go ahead and do some pilot hole, countersink pilot hole. You got to remember now there's a gap between the bottom and the top of the leg, 3/4 of an inch. We'll drill two holes here. Two holes there, and we'll add 2 5/8 screws to each side. You can go to 2-inch if you need to. It'll give you a little better grip. I don't reckon that the table itself is going to have that much weight on it. So if necessary, we'll put some stabilizers in there once we get it built. Let's go ahead and drive these screws in. That one slipped a little bit on me. That's what that noise was. Once you get them screws in, you want to go ahead and turn the table around and attach the other side of the frame. And we'll go ahead and do that, and we'll get back to you here in a minute. Next step of the process, what we're going to do is we're going to put some of the table support boards in. Basically what they're going to do is you're going to put these 3/4-inch boards in between the legs, so when you put your tabletop slats on, they'll have something to sit on and guide. So what I'll do is I'll measure in between these two legs 15 1/4 inches. So I'll take two pieces and cut them to 15 1/4 inches. I'll do that on my miter saw. Since I need two pieces, I measured out one end 15 1/4 inches. I'll take these, stack them on top of each other, set them on my saw, make sure the ends are flush together, line them up on my saw, and make the cut. Don't really need them little pieces, but I might need them for another project later on, so we'll hold on to it for a minute. Once I get these pieces cut, they're going to be mounted right inside the leg ends, flush with the top of the legs. But what I want to do first, 1 5/8 inch screw is basically too long to go to this, so I'm shifting over to 1 1/4 inch screws. And I'm going to countersink 3 holes in this, one on each end and one in the middle, to hold them in place. And once I get that done, I'll set it in place. And you can actually use some wood glue here. Type Bond 3. Type Bond 3 is water resistant, weatherproof. Best if you're going to use anything outside, use Type Bond 3. Throw you a bead of glue down through there. Get these stacked up. Now, pressure treated wood has treatment in it. So the Type Bond 3, even though it'll assist, it's going to take a while to dry out. First thing we'll do is make sure it's flush down here at the end. We'll go ahead and set that screw. Get it set, and then we'll go down here at the other end before we set the middle. Make it flush with the leg, and then we'll go ahead and set this one. And then we'll set that one in the middle. Getting them set there would allow your tabletop basically to sit right inside the leg, or right inside the side assembly. Now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put additional pieces on the other three sides, and I'll get back to you here shortly. With that said, I've got all four of my braces, or my table bracket or top brackets in. And then what I'm going to do now is we'll start inserting the tabletop. Now based on this, pretty much too high for me to see. So what I may do is I'm going to shift this to a new work location. Might be right down there on the dang floor. And we'll go ahead and get this tabletop set in place. Now that we've relocated to my swivel table, I'm going to go ahead. What I'll do is I'll throw a bead of glue all the way around the perimeter of the tabletop. And then I'm going to use some staples, 1-inch staples, to hold everything in place. Let's go ahead and get us a bead of glue on there. I say use Type Bond 3. And you can also put glue on the end of your tabletop pieces if you like. But I think we'll be fine. Got 12 pieces, and these will sit right down in the tabletop. Always start on the end. Make sure you got them squared up. And we'll just add these all the way across. Don't need to staple each one as we go. So we'll get them all put in, and then we'll run some staples down through there and hold them in place. If necessary, you can, a little snug there. If necessary, you can get you some clamps and pull it together on both sides to hold it in place. But what to do is get you a tape measuring stick. Running crossways, we got 28 and a 16th, and 28 and 3/8, so we're a little bit out of square. So we'll get us a clamp, put a clamp on there and see if we can draw it back in. I thought that one would be long enough. I don't reckon it is, so I'll get a different clamp. I know it's long enough. You throw your clamp on the long side, kind of stretch it out a little bit. These pipe clamps are a pain sometimes. So our long side is 28 and 3/8. So that would be this side right here. So we're going to throw us a pipe clamp on there and try to draw her back down to where it's more square. And it don't take much to get her squared up. Go across this side. Now 28 and a quarter there. And 28 and a quarter there. So what you can do once you get it squared up, and you'll go ahead and start throwing your staples in there. I notice there's a little gap on the ends. Could be due to the board being a little bowed. So we'll go ahead and throw us a clamp on this side to kind of draw it together a little bit. Other than that, it looks fairly decent. So let's go ahead and get the staple gun, throw some staples in there. I think one at each end will make it, will hold it fairly well. You notice I skipped a few of them because I got my clamps in place. Spin it around, I'll get some on the other side. These are 1-inch staples. They're not galvanized or nothing. I got these at Harbor Freight. I could use brads, but I think the staples in this case will hold a lot better. Let's move that one clamp. We can put a couple more to take care of these other spots. At this point in time, we can go ahead and take that pipe clamp off, and it should stay in place, maintaining your square. It's within a 1/16 of an inch, so we're doing fairly well. We'll go ahead and finish stapling up. I missed one or two, the fact that the clamps were there. Now, I've also got some braces down the side, but what I'll do is I'll put a staple just in the center of both sides. Okay, now that concludes putting the top on, and that pretty well takes care of making the table. But I think there's one more thing that I want to do to help stabilize the top. In order to do that, we need to turn the table over. What I'm going to do, I think, is add a stiffener through here to kind of stiffen that tabletop up a little bit. So we'll get us a piece 17 inches long, and we'll glue it and staple it into that section. I'm going to go ahead and cut me a piece on the miter saw at 17 inches. So I got me a piece 3/4 inch stock. Okay, now I'm going to put it center between the two pieces here. So we're looking at basically 17 inches, and half of that's 8.5. So we'll put us a mark at 8.5 inches, and we'll kind of line it up on that mark. If it covers the screw on the end, that's not a big deal really. So we'll take our glue, we'll throw us a bead of glue there. Go ahead and we'll set it on that mark and eyeball it for square. That'll give us a little extra support on that tabletop. So I'll go ahead and throw some staples in it in several locations. Oh, run out of bullets. I'll go here and get me some bullets. 1-inch staple. Throw me in some bullets. I'll throw 2 or 3 more in there, and we should be good to go. I don't reckon we need to put them in every one of them, but just several to hold it in place. And with that said, let's call this project complete. And we're going to set it back up on its feet on the floor over here and see how stable it is. All right, I got it moved to the floor. Go ahead and test it for stability. I think it'll be great. You put a Adirondack chair here and an Adirondack chair over there, and you should be good to go. I guess with that said, this completes this project. We'll move on to bigger and better things in the near future. As always, I appreciate y'all watching these videos. If you want to, you can like, share, and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. And it helps out the algorithm, I think is what they call that. Hell, it took me a minute to spell it. Helps bring my videos up to where more people can view them. You're more than welcome to make comments, suggestions, or anything of that nature. And we'll take everything into consideration. With that said, y'all have a good day, and Take care of yourself and be safe. Until next time, this old dog, we out.